So, should we? Hey, it works. I did it. Okay. Hello, people. Welcome to uh, for Time Royale. Yeah, just ignore the gameplay for the most part, because it's not all that important. It's really not. I just kind of wanted to talk about books and like share my opinion and like, yee, I have no idea how else. How I don't edit videos. I just put them out there. All right. That is all I do. That is all I will ever do. Um, I wanted to talk. Okay, let's. I wanted to talk about a very, very specific series. And if you've read books, there's no way you haven't heard of it. It's the Percy Jackson series. I really like it. I'm a fan. I love the writing. It's really good. Although I will say that it does have a few problems. Um, like in the first series, it was really good. I loved the characters. I didn't like how some of the characters ended because it didn't feel complete. Like Rachel, for instance, we see her become the Oracle, but like we don't. I don't even think we've had any side stories about Rachel, which is interesting considering she was a big plot point in the series. Like she was a big plot point. Like she was quite involved with the plot. Um, but no, the reason I want to talk about the Percy Jackson series is a while back I had an argument with somebody about, and I'm warning you, this is going to be spoilery. If you have not read the Heroes of Olympus series or the Apollo Trials, and you don't want spoilers, don't go further into the video. Okay. Um, Overall, this is my overall opinion. I think for Gordon, this sorry, hold on. This you can listen to. It's not spoilery yet. Um, Rick Riordan has a small problem with tying up characters, I think. And I I can understand that, especially in something like, say, Percy Jackson. Oh, I can't name any off the top of my head. Uh, Wings of Fire is also an okay series. Love it, but not all the characters get tied up, and of course, that leaves stuff open for like sequels and stuff like that. In Wings of Fire, it makes sense because they continued those characters' stories on even after the end of the story. They started writing different books set in the same universe. Um, I will say though, with Rick Riordan specifically, he doesn't do a good job about it. Like Rachel's a great example, but this is where I get into spoiler territory. Um, Jason's fate, and this is I will argue this. This is a hill I will die on until the day that I actually do die. Jason should not have been killed off in the book series. Okay, I do not think that was a good ending for any of the characters. And don't get me wrong, I truly don't mind when characters die, as long as it's a satisfying death or the death is somehow meaningful. But in the Apollo trials, it's just well, you might be able to see it as meaningful because it carries on like the story of Apollo trials. You don't see Hyper, Leo, any of them really ever interact with they all stop interacting with Jason because Jason cut off contact because he got a prophecy or something like that. It's been a while since I read the series, and I refuse to reread it. I'm gonna be totally honest. I don't think it was good. I do not think it was good. Well, in theory, I can understand sending Hollow, especially due to some of the previous things in the series. I can completely understand that. But like it feels like they didn't care about what the characters actually were in this story. You know, like this is something I will always forever find weird. A I think this is really fudging. Sorry, trying to stop cussing. I will always think this is a weird decision. How did why did Jason not tell Percy about the boat filled with monsters and stuff? Like legitimate. This is like a this is literally Percy's territory, right? It would make so much sense to just give him a call and bring him over. Perfect sense. Okay, I feel like that would have been a good idea. And I truly believe with Jason's writing, he would have done something like that, or at least told Halia. But you know what? Let's say that he doesn't tell anybody. I still think it's weird that Percy wouldn't find out about it because it is a monster infested ship. Even if it is on the opposite side of where he's at, he does go over. He still has that tattoo. He didn't get it like removed or anything. So I do not think it's inconceivable to think that he would visit that area often enough to where he might notice a ship filled with monsters. And maybe there's an argument to be made that the mist protected the ship from Percy, but like, why wouldn't it protect it from Jason or oracles as well? You know, but that's all hypothetical, all that good stuff. It doesn't particularly matter, but I want to point out Hyper's entire character buildup is to not break somebody's heart and then move on like that. You know, date somebody and then move on immediately right after. Um, I when we see Piper, it's what I believe it's 2 months after Jason broke up with her, which I already find that as a really weird writing decision. But already 2 months after a long-term relationship, Piper's moved on, which great, she moved on, good for her. But like, that's her story right there. Her entire thing is not moving on from somebody you love. It is not breaking somebody's heart. And while her heart might have been broken, I do not think that it would take 2 months for her, less than, because we do see them making out and stuff in the barn. So it would have been less than 2 months for her to get into another relationship right after a very long term one. And I don't think that was a good decision. I do not think it was a good decision. I do not think it was good writing. Overall, I just find it as a terrible choice for the character. I do. It really feels like instead of taking into account like the characters' backstories and who they are in those stories, he he wrote it to force a plot point. And he just wrote it to tie up loose ends. You know, I don't think that's okay. And we do see J- Layson. We do see Jason get harmed by lightning, which is how he dies. He basically offs himself. Um, he basically, through lightning. Um, honestly, how do I word this in a way that describes my feelings? I think it was terrible writing. I Sorry, I got a little absorbed into the story. I don't like Rick Riordan's tying up of loose ends. Like Jason, we see him die to lightning twice. All right, which I think is a weird decision. Him being able to be harmed by lightning, even though we actually do see him, his foot gets charred due to him striking lightning, I believe, on himself, but he doesn't actually take any damage from that. Like his foot turns like his foot gets a little blackened, but that's like soot and stuff from energy, which makes sense that it would have a visual effect like that because it's energy. But like for it to kill him twice, and like I could maybe see the argument that the first time was like the Master Bolt or whatever, which okay, great, kind of weird, but okay. I highly doubt it was actually the Master Bolt because the Master Bolt's an extremely powerful thing. You're not gonna. Don't get me wrong. You'd use it in that situation against Giant, but like, isn't it supposed to be like nuke level powerful? Like wipe out a mountain type powerful, like destroy an entire monster army type powerful. Like seriously, Anyways, the first time, but the second time, trying to make an argument that he should have died to that lightning. I that does not add up. It does not add up. Especially concerning, which I think would have been a much better choice instead of him dying. His horse. His horse is made of lightning. Why could it not jumpstart his heart? Like seriously. I think that would have been a good choice. Jumpstart his heart, make it to where Jason gets taken out of battle. He can't battle anymore. He's got, actual heart problems now. And he's lost someone or something dear to him. I think that would have been a better choice. I honestly do. Because you still get that heroic sacrifice, and it still has a cost. It has a great cost, especially to Jason. But like, really, the way they killed him off, I don't think it was okay. I think it was a really weird choice. I'll always think it's a really weird choice. Because like, really? Really? That's how you're gonna kill him? That's how you're gonna kill him? It's and like you have to make so many things make sense. Like for instance, why would Poseidon not tell Percy? And you know what? There could be an argument made that Poseidon wouldn't know because it's in the Roman waters, which I find it's an iffy argument, but it is an argument that could be made. Why would they not tell the Romans about it? Seriously. I and I get there's ways to make the ships and stuff undetectable, but like you're telling me that Hazel, for instance, or Piper, Frank. None of these characters would have thought something was up. Hazel's especially. I it does not add up. I do not think it's a satisfying end for the character. Like at all. I never will. I believe killing him off was just a move to get him out of the way. I honestly do not think they did a good thing killing him off. I think it was worthless to kill him off. I really do believe it was just lazy writing. Because, well, yeah, the heroic sacrifice makes sense for Jason. He was prepared to do it. It was technically speaking his fate. But if you remember, that is an argument that can be made because prophecy was that the world would fall to lightning or fire. That was the prophecy. You know, I do not think you can make a good argument that actually stands when I just don't think it's possible, especially with the rest of the series and the stuff that happens in the rest of the series. Now, I can completely understand not talking more about Percy Jackson and his stories because he's way overpowered. Like, people underestimate just how strong Percy is. I will always say that Percy's like probably the strongest demigod. Um, just but trying to ignore his existence isn't a good choice. I do not think, and they do bring him up a few times here and there, but like it just doesn't work. Honestly, it just does not work. Um, there's there's a few problems with the series. I can't read it anymore, but I loved the Percy Jackson series growing up. I still do. Hell, I'd reread the books if I could. I currently don't have the books because I got a little messed up growing up. That's just how it be. I'm a little poor, so I couldn't ever like get them repaired or something like that, sadly. But that's all besides the point. The point of the matter is it feels like Rick Riordan's got a major problem with characters just not being written off well, like a satisfying end for them. Like one I would say that doesn't get a satisfying end would well, I guess it's an okay ending. It is Grover. It is Grover. Hold on before any of you Percy Jackson fans say anything, in case you guys are watching this. Grover had an ending. I think it was an okay ending, but we never see Grover brought up again. Like, not really. I think his name comes up every so often, but that's it. And he was a major character. He was just as important as Annabeth or Percy, and we see him so much less. It is so sad. And they don't have to write an entire book about him. I don't think they should. I will say, however, though, I would like to see him brought up more or seen because we just don't see him or hear of him much. And it's really weird. Just due to, the fact of the matter is he was a major character. And while I'd love to say, it's good and all, but it's just weird. It's just weird. He's a major character. We don't see him much. And there could be it's just it's weird. All right, it's weird writing of these characters. Like, what's her name? Reina? The 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 what's it called? Something for Camp Jupiter, like leader of Jupiter. She runs away from Camp Jupiter. Well, she gives Hazel the reins of Camp Jupiter instead of trying to help Camp Jupiter, and she goes and joins the Huntresses of Artemis. And like that's an ending for the character, but her entire thing was trying to make New Rome better. I agree with the fact one of my favorite TikTok content creators does Percy Jackson stuff, and he pointed out that it just doesn't make sense. It's not a good ending for her character because you see all she does is run away. That's all she ever does. It's it's weird writing for her character. We see her run away all of throughout her character, and it's you're telling me her ending's her running away from some place she considered her home? It's it's weird. And well, yeah, it makes sense because that's what she's done all this time. People have tried to call that character growth, and I don't think that's possible. It's not a satisfying ending. I I care about the characters that we've seen. I care about Nico. I care about Hazel. I care about Percy. I care about Leo, Jason, Piper, Annabeth, Rachel, Grover, Thalia, what Bianca. All of these characters. Bianca's death, I have no problems with at all. We could see that one was coming, and I think most of us can agree that it was a well-written character death. Sorry, my dog's groaning in the background. He's having nightmares, I guess. Um, Bianca's death makes sense. It was well written. It was well written. And while yes, it's not a surprise that she died, at least I wasn't surprised by it. I don't think there's a case that can be made that Jason's death was anywhere near as impactful or well written, especially considering everything around it. And while this rant was triggered by me talking to somebody about this, and I have somebody who agrees with me that Jason's death wasn't well written. They don't agree with the Reina thing, which I find iffy because I her character growth is supposedly is letting go of what she cannot change, but she could do stuff. I'm not saying, go full Batman and stuff, but just leaving her home, some New Rome, leaving New Rome, the place she's considered home, and her goals to make better, she's leaving that to somebody else. I don't think, as a character, that she would make that choice. And while the author gets to write whatever choices the characters make, I feel that the choice to join the Huntresses and leave New Rome isn't in her character. I believe that she'd fight tooth and nail for New Rome, which we did see. And seeing her leave New Rome just because just because there's nothing obvious she could do. I don't think that's okay. I do not think that's character writing. I believe she was just written off. I truly do. And I feel that way about a lot of the characters. A lot of the characters had so much potential and just they were never seen or heard from again. I there is so much with these characters and I don't like them. And we see what's her name? Calypso? No. Yeah, yeah, it is Calypso, I think. Leo's girlfriend. We see we see her and Leo be together. And like I I feel like Calypso's ending was all right. Like I did not deem Calypso as an important character. I think most of us didn't. Just don't get me wrong, while Percy talks to her and stuff, she was never a truly important character in the story. And then we see suddenly in New Rome, it matters. And this is after the Egyptian series, Magnus Chase. I I I don't think that that was a good choice in any shape, form, or fashion. I don't think that Calypso coming back was a good choice. I, but Leo's ending, I think needed some work. Jason's ending and Piper ending together, I think showed the reflection of both Percy and Annabeth. I think that was a good reflection. I do not like the writing, how their relationship was done. In some parts, I think Annabeth and Percy was much more organic, and Piper and Jason's was rushed. But after seeing what happened in the Apollo trials, it feels like that's what their goal was to rush the relationship and then have Jason be killed. And I believe Piper's choices completely ruined some of her character development. And I believe that Jason would not have done that. This might sound weird, but while the author can write it however he wants, sometimes the characters write themselves. And I personally have tried to write, and I have gotten advice from writers, from comic book artists, or not artists, writers as well. The biggest, there's two biggest pieces of writing advice that I have received. One, write a certain amount per day, no matter if it's useful, useless. Work on the story a certain amount per day. Okay, even if it's absolutely terrible writing, do it anyways. You can always go back and fix mistakes, but allowing yourself to not write, that you're just going to keep putting it off. And the second one was don't be afraid to let characters write themselves. That makes them feel more organic, more human than just people on a page. And I feel like during the Apollo trials, everyone just feels more and more like a character on a page than actual people. And while yeah, I get they're fictional characters, I'm sure all of us can realize that it's good for these characters to feel like they're actual people rather than just written for plot convenience. Weird take. I don't know how to explain it, but oh well. Anyways, this was my rant while playing Persona 4 Royal and getting very distracted by talking about, you know, Percy Jackson series. I don't know how to I don't know how to word this. Uh, I am gone now, I suppose. This is the end. To all who listened and took 30 minutes of the Jesus, that's 30 minutes. And to all those that took the 30 minutes to watch this, thank you very much. If you didn't, oh well. Thank you for viewing it if you viewed it. I don't know how to word this. It's goodbye. You have a nice whatever it is for you.